Business owners, executives, and entrepreneurs, get your pen and paper ready and tune in Sundays at 1 p.m. for Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified. You must evolve to meet the challenges of today's marketplace. This is the only show in the Philly metro area that walks you step by step through success factors that make or break your brand. Want some free advice? Call in Sundays at 1 p.m. to talk to your host, Carolyn Lighty, and a panel of experts for Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon, Carolyn. Thanks for having us here.
Great. And also, Bob has brought along with him two of his members of the Delaware Small Business Chamber. We've got Deirdre Garut.
Good afternoon.
And we also have Geneva Fonda.
Hello.
Very good. Geneva, are you related to Jane Fonda?
No, I just carry the family name. That was my mother's joke, and her love for Jane Fonda's husband. That's how I got.
Wow, how cool is that? Also joining us later in the show, we have one of the past presenters from 1 Million Cups, and that's Charlie Vincent. He's owner of Vincent LLC, which is a marketing firm. So he'll be joining the show in about 20 minutes of the hour. Bob, I've been so excited to have you come on the show.
You've tried for a little
while.
I've
been bugging you to come on the show. Tell us about the Small Business Chamber, when it started. Just give us some background about that.
Well, it actually started just a little over 2 years ago. We're in our third year at the moment. Mm-hmm. And it got started because, to be very honest with you, a lot of us, and including myself, felt that there was no real organization that was supporting small business here in the state of Delaware the way I believed it should have been. They should be treated and supported, and even the definition of a small business. So about 3 years ago, I started developing the idea with some other people, and the January 1st of basically 2012, we started. So or 2011. So we're in our third year already.
So for you define small businesses a little differently than, say, the state or our federal government does.
Well, I do, because the state says that a small business could be up to 500 employees. The federal government, I know why the federal government, like SBA, says up to 1,000 employees, and that's so they could support many other organizations. But, most people say 500 employees is a small business. I don't. I think 50 employees, that's small business. 500 is pretty large.
Yeah. And are there specific needs that a business of that size has as it relates to, just even today's economy? Do you feel that there's a different need that they have?
I think so. I'm a small business person as well. I mean, I have a travel agency that I run, and that's why I understand small business a little bit differently. And then I'll let Deirdre and Geneva explain a little bit more how they feel about it. But my thought was that, there were no organizations that were supporting the ability of people to network together, not to be sold necessarily every time they go somewhere, but to network and figure out ways to do business together. And that's what we're all about.
Kind of a support system.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Okay. And Deirdre, if you would give me some of your feelings in terms of your exposure to what the Small Business Chamber has to offer and what you walk away with, being a member.
Well, I've been a member of the Delaware Small Business Chamber for a little over a year, and I have really enjoyed the relationships that I have created, not just business relationships, but friendships as well. That's very important to me.
I could tell even before we went on air, I said that you guys sound like a family. It's like, oh, you're going to do this, and what about that? And, I'm waiting for you guys to ask, when are we having dinner? What time is dinner?
Right. Geneva and I have really gotten to be close friends, spending time together outside of the chamber. And that's what I really like about the Small Business Chamber is that it's business owners. It's not someone from corporate, a manager, things like that. It's a person that is involved in their business and in the community.
And they're experiencing the same things that you're experiencing,
probably.
Yeah.
And one of the things I just want to point out is we're not only just small businesses. Our definition and our whole philosophy is that you have to be either a small business, which is, in our opinion, it's about 50 employees or less, to be a member, or you can be a larger business, but you have to truly do business with local small businesses. And that's a big key difference, that we have larger businesses that are members, but they are part of the family, as you say. They're part of the local community. They're doing things with local business.
And when you say doing things, would that be partnering or buying services, supplies, and so forth from that small business?
Buying products, services, buying items. I'll give you an example. ShopRite is a member, but they do 20% of their buying locally from local farmers, local merchants.
Excellent. That's
they do a
great.
lot with their foundation. So those are the kind of businesses we want. And we will turn businesses away in our chamber. We're the only one in the state that has turned businesses away because they don't qualify. They don't do anything local. And if they're not supporting the local community, local economy, we really don't want them. It doesn't matter how big they are.
I think that's great. Then that shows where your heart really is and where your mission, comes into play there, because you look at a membership fee, but if you also look at those businesses and how much they take from your local economy,
Right.
What's the trade-off there?
That's exactly it. And we're looking for people to support the local business person, the local person that's going to stay in the community, that's going to be living here in the community, that's buying from everybody else as well. And I think that's what makes a big, big difference.
Geneva, I want to ask you also, what would you say is the main thing that drew you to the Delaware Small Business Chamber?
Well, as I had mentioned prior to the airing of the show, a fellow friend of mine from undergrad and grad school, Charlie Donaldson, had mentioned Small Biz Chamber to me, and neither one of us at the time had been able to attend any of the events. So I looked on the website, I read everything I needed to, the website, Facebook page, all of that. And then I called Bob up and I asked him to meet with him, because as we all know, we can all read everyone's website and get an idea of what the product or service or organization is about. But for me, it's about the in-person experience. Let my gut do the talking for me. Don't do it, Geneva, run the other way. Or, this is a really great feeling.
Yeah.
When Bob and I met, and his event manager, Lisa Ayers, membership manager, when we met, I went in just to hear so much about the organization and to determine whether or not I wanted to join. We were there for hours talking. We had so much fun. There was that instant camaraderie because everybody sitting there was authentic and present and willing to just provide as much information as I needed to make a decision. And I wanted to give them some feedback about myself to determine, as Bob said, if I was a business for them. My other background is in corporate finance, so I know my numbers and I make sure they work for me. The biggest and most beautiful thing about my experience thus far with being a member of the Small Biz Chamber is actually a personal one. I had, like Deidre said, we've been friends for more than a year, being members of the Small Biz Chamber, and I have, like her, met so many wonderful people, and all of my experiences, quite honestly, have been positive because of the people. But I had a major procedure done last fall, and I had mentioned it in passing to Lisa, who works with Bob, because she was calling to see if I was going to attend something, and I wasn't able to for the reasons that I mentioned to her. And lo and behold, some days later after my procedure, I was home and recovering. She actually called me to see how I was doing. I'm feeling full just saying it because I was stunned. You know, sometimes when you exchange your money for an organization's membership, you don't hear from them. You hear a lot about their products and services because they want you when they're trying to, lure you, sweeten you into joining. But once you join, you hand over your money, you don't hear from them anymore. There's no follow-up.
The funny thing about that is Lisa did not tell me what was going on, and that's understandable. But I had noticed that Geneva wasn't at a lot of events, and what we do is I send a "We Miss You" letter. So I sent Geneva a "We Miss You" letter saying we haven't seen you in a while, and that's when Geneva called me and said what was going on. And so it's a whole system, and one other thing I just want to and Geneva doesn't know I know this. She was at a sub shop the other day, and she was standing in line apparently with a person that was talking to another person about hiring them. And you mentioned, I guess, to them about this Delaware Small Business Chamber. And he said he came right over. I mean, he literally did not even finish his lunch. He came over to my office and met with me.
Oh, that was Tom Ogden from Heritage Contractors.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Wow.
So Geneva doesn't know this.
Isn't that amazing?
I saved that for now. But that's how our relationships work, and we really work that.
And that kind of support, on other shows we've talked about how important is it that you as an entrepreneur have the support of family, friends, colleagues, and so forth. And this seems to be such a strong support system. I'm sorry that I didn't find out more about it before now. But it's your fault because you wouldn't come on the show.
I'm sorry. Well, that's one of the things that is really, you asked beforehand what makes us different. And I think one of the key things that makes us different is when you come to our events, and I'm not going to say anything but negative about any of it. Everybody has a great purpose and a great sense and a market that they target.
Service,
We are looking for the business owner or the decision maker. So when you come to our events, it's not a whole bunch of people trying to sell you something. It's not somebody trying to see how they can get money out of you and not be able to reciprocate. With us, it's, hey, what can we do together? How do we build a relationship and form something that we can both prosper from? And we've had people actually do business deals at our events when the person was the very first time coming to an event. And it's just that way. People are looking at how do we do stuff together, and that's the big difference.
So important. When I was in Florida, I used to do quarterly networking events, and I would always say this is not your typical networking event because I did the fun thing first because everyone likes to come and have fun. So we had a lavish spread of food, everything you could think of. I had a relationship at that time with a caterer who also had a facility that was gorgeous. It was like going into a palace. So I wanted my events to be different. Everybody always wanted to come. I had all the media there. Just anyone in Tampa Bay would come to this event. And I also had live entertainment and national entertainment. I'd had because of my experience with the entertainment industry, and people would come in, you want us to come? Oh, sure, we'll do it for you for either nothing or a small amount. So they always knew they could come and get really good entertainment. But then after that, we would have people stand up and talk a little bit about their company, kind of like 1 Million Cups does, to have them talk a little bit, not 6 minutes, but they got like 3 minutes to talk a little bit about their company. And then I wasn't into that, I'm going to say facilitated networking, these little games and things, because to me, and I hope I'm not saying anything wrong for you, but to me, that's too hokey. If you're not driven and passionate enough about your business to want to tell someone about it, I'm not going to set that up for you.
Right.
I'm not going to have you match up a card with someone. To me, that is so crazy. But those types of things I didn't go in for. But what I would say at the end of each event is that your individual strengths and achievements are great, but through combining with someone else, it's even greater. So collaborations is what I was always about, talking about, your achievements are wonderful on your own, but let's collaborate and we can do even more. And I'm glad to hear that that's something that you espouse as well.
Well, we've actually taken that a step further because when I first started the chamber, everybody said to me, you're going to do referral groups. And I love referral groups. They all have a purpose. They're great. My problem personally is I can't go to them every single week. I mean, I just can't.
Yeah.
So we decided instead of creating something very unique and very different, I call it the 6 Top Mingle. And every one of our members who have participated, and I'll let them tell you in a minute, have really benefited from it. And what it is, instead of being in a room of 25, 30 people or whatever it is, and getting up and trying to build a relationship in a 30-second commercial, you basically are talking for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And you go back and forth, and instead of a one-on-one, it's like a 5-on-1 because you're having the synergy from the other people, and you really get to know someone and build relationships. And when you have time, I'd like to have Deidre and Geneva tell you how they feel about them, because I think they really work, and a lot of people have heard about them and they joined just because of our 6 Top Mingles.
Is that right? So what made you do this? Like, where does this passion come from for small businesses, Bob?
Well, being a small business person, I think is been a big thing for me, because I was involved in another organization here locally, very, very heavily involved, and I have a lot of friends still there, and I believe in the concept, but I didn't believe in where they were heading and what they were doing. And when I saw that a lot of things were being done outside of the local economy, outside of the local markets, and they weren't supporting the small business, they were more concerned about just making money, I realized that was something that I didn't feel the same for. For example, with us, once you're a member, 99% of what we do is free to our members. We don't charge you to participate once you're a member, and that's a big thing for us. I'm not trying to nickel and dime our small business people. We're trying to make it fair. We're trying to give them a very good value. So I got a little annoyed with what was going on, and realized that in the state of Delaware, there's 68,000 small business people. And that's a huge number, and the highest organization of of small business people may have had less than 2% of that number that they're representing. There was something wrong. So I looked at it and realized there's no organization that's dedicated to that group of people. Now, we don't have 68,000 members. I'd love to.
We've put a dent in that, and now there's only 38.
Not yet.
38,000 members now.
Not quite yet. In 2 years, we have about 150 members, so that's a great start. We would hope to get to about 300 members by the end of this year, and that's my goal. So we're doing everything we can to get to that goal.
Well, we're going to take a really quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to these two ladies about what made them go into the businesses that they chose. You know, the entrepreneurial bug. You know, when it bit them, what were they doing, and what made them choose the businesses that they did? So we'll be right back.
You can't. Do those magic words motivate you? Has anyone ever told you that you can't? You can't be an entrepreneur. You can't be a business owner. You don't have what it takes. How many successful businesses started without incorporating? I'm John Williams, the president of Inc. Now. For 39 years, Inc. Now has been incorporating first-time entrepreneurs just like you. Over 15,000 companies, from mom-and-pop businesses to worldwide enterprises. IncNow.com, based in Delaware, can have you incorporated in only a few minutes for $298. Inc. Now makes starting your LLC easy. Learn more about what Inc. Now can do for you. On the web, visit incnow.com. That's incnow.com. What do you have to lose? If you think you can't be an entrepreneur, then don't. I'm here to tell you, you can. Plant a seed. Inc. Now. Dreamers wanted.
Welcome to Wilmington, Delaware. At Preservation Initiatives, we bring beautiful lofts to you. The recently renovated lofts at 400 Market Street are a must-see. A part of registered National Historic District. Featuring spacious floor plans, custom glass windows, solid surface countertops, stainless steel appliances, custom lighting, wood flooring, large closets, pocket doors, sunny interiors, high ceilings plus beautifully detailed trim molding. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Market Street. Just a short walk from the Wilmington riverfront, featuring family-friendly places to enjoy, with plenty of restaurants, entertainment, and other small-town conveniences. Wilmington, Delaware, in the middle of it all. Reserve today. Preservation Initiatives, urban revitalization through historic preservation.
Preservation Initiatives is a wonderful, wonderful gem that we have here in the city of Wilmington. Don McGinley, its founder, has been developing historic properties since 1979. He's had properties in Boston, Miami, Philly, and now Wilmington. If you want to contact Preservation Initiatives in reference to any of the residential or commercial properties, please call them at 302-543-7565. That's 302-543-7565.
You're listening to WFAI 1510 AM. Welcome back to this week's edition of Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified. If you're just joining us, get your pen and paper ready for more free advice from Carolyn Lighty and her guests.
And we're back. Today we're talking with Bob Older, the president of Delaware Small Business Chamber, and he's brought along two of his members, Miss Deidre Garut. She's owner of Kona Ice, and Geneva Fonda. She is the owner of Geneva Fonda Photography. So we'll be talking a little bit more to them right now as it relates to how did they catch the entrepreneurial bug? What were they doing when it bit them, and what made them choose the businesses that they decided to go into? Starting with you first, Deidre.
Well, I started out in radio in the promotions and marketing department.
Very cool.
Just kind of fell into that, and I really fell in love with planning events and things like that. But as time evolved, I got into commercial real estate and property management, and that bored me to death. For some reason, I got dumped all the the dirty warehouses.
Wow.
So I started thinking back when I was in radio and how much I love that and all the events. So I just started Googling and was looking for different businesses that I could own. So I became an event planner for a few years. Then I started working with nonprofits and doing some of their fundraisers. And in that time, I was working with someone helping them build their own business. And I decided that, I wanted to come back off of that. And in the spring of 2012, I was on Facebook and I saw my cousin said, please like my page. I said, okay. So I went over there and it was Kona Ice. I'm like, what is this? And I saw the huge truck with the penguin on the side, and it was a beautiful truck. And I thought, oh, I'm so jealous. They're going to have so much fun. Yeah. I love to have fun. This truck is fun, but it just wasn't the right time. So last fall, I was at another event, and there was a Kona truck. And it was like the heavens opened and stars were aligning and things in my life were actually changing. Yeah. And I went home and I told my husband, I said, this is what we have to do. Wow. I started looking into the company more. Come to find out, it's a business that is based out of Florence, Kentucky, which is where I'm from.
Oh, my goodness.
My family knows the owner.
It was all coming together for you.
It was. My family knows the owner, so it was really strange.
The universe always puts things, if you listen, if you follow. Yeah.
And what I really liked about Kona Ice is their give back program. They have given, as a whole, over $15 million to nonprofits, churches, schools, ball teams, you name it, any organization that's needed to raise funds, they've helped them. And that was huge for me because I love volunteering. I love being part of nonprofits. So that was really great that they have that program and that they've been able to help people.
So the bug bit you, and then you waited a little while until the timing was right, and then this is what you decided to do. So in terms of Kona Ice, it's a franchise?
It is a franchise.
And about how many do they have around the country, do you think? How many trucks are out there?
They're in, I think they said 42 states. They've got over 500 trucks. I just came back from Kona College and Convention.
And what's that like?
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. I got to see my aunt and uncle.
Yes.
That I haven't seen for a few years. So it's going to be a family reunion every February when we go to convention. But the college was really great. We learned a lot about how to work with the schools, how to do our fundraising for them. And it was really exciting.
And what about product information and product knowledge? Because it's ice. Tell us what it is, actually.
Yes, it is premium shaved ice.
Okay.
On the truck, we have a flavor wave on the outside, and it carries 10 flavors. So your basic fruit flavors: watermelon, cherry, grape, strawberry. The kids can make their own flavors. On the inside, I can make about 30 more specialized flavors.
So you can mix them. You can say, well, I want a little bit of root beer and, I don't know, cherry.
Yeah, a wedding cake.
Make a pina colada.
Pina colada, daiquiri, margarita, cheesecake. I mean, it goes on and on.
Wow.
So it put all her fun things that she liked all in the past all in one business.
Yeah, I can wear a grass skirt to work. I'm so excited.
Or a penguin.
Not today, though, right?
No, not today.
Okay. Interestingly, I wanted to say, Geneva, now you being from New York, and I'm sure it's not just in New York, but I can remember going to block parties in New York where we had the shaved ice and the syrup and everything that was being poured there. I'm sure it happened elsewhere in the country, but it just seems like a New York block party was always the most fun type of thing to do, and that was the thing you looked forward to.
It's
was
true.
The shaved ice. Did you have that experience?
Absolutely. In New York, we call them piraguas.
Okay.
So here, once we left the state of New York, then you start hearing water ice and shaved ice and all of that, which is fine, but it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's flavored ice, and we grew up calling it piragua, which is Spanish for sweetened ice. And it is funny, when Deidre brought this to me, we were at a party, a holiday party in December, and I heard about it. I was so stoked. I said, yeah, this is great. Now we can get it locally because my family and we can only get shaved ice back home. I mean, you have Rita's, which is great, but that's like,
It's
water
a little
ice. We
It's
say
different.
icy,
Yeah,
so,
it's
it's different.
Yeah.
So when she told me this, yes, this is perfect.
is
We
so
don't
cool.
always have to go back home for such an experience.
Yeah.
And I'm excited, too, because not only are we friends and we are all family, Deidre and Kona Ice will be at my son's birthday party this spring, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
and
that's fantastic.
it's a great thing. It's not just simply supporting a fellow small business chamber member, but a friend as well, and also because I love water ice, my family does, and my son, who's a small human, he's going to go crazy about it. So
That's fantastic.
It's fun.
So I know that you're launching soon.
Deidre.
Yes, we would like to launch tomorrow, but
Maybe extra ice tomorrow.
right, the impending weather, we'll probably wait for a couple of weeks. We got to make sure that the lines with the flavoring doesn't
Freeze or
doesn't
anything.
freeze.
She's going to use that fresh snow to make it.
Right. But I wanted, if I could just touch base real quick about the nutrition part. I know a lot of people worry about sugars and things like that. Kona has devised a flavoring that's enriched with vitamin C. So we will also be offering sugar-free flavors in the truck, as well as 40% less sugar of our mixing. So
That's fantastic.
yes,
That is really good.
we want to be conscious of that when we start out. So we've decided just to go vitamin C and less sugar.
And so if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you?
They can call us at 302-722-7280.
Okay, and say that
We
one
have
more
a
time.
Facebook page, too, right?
Yes, we have a Facebook page.
Yeah,
The phone number again is 302-722-7280. And we're on Facebook, Kona Ice of Elkton/North Newark.
And is this something that you hire to bring to a party, say, or are you going to drive around just like the ice cream truck used to do that in the neighborhoods?
Yes.
How do you?
We will definitely be doing neighborhoods. We have tropical music that'll be playing, steel drums.
Okay.
We're also going to be visiting businesses, daycares, events. We'll be going to events on the weekends.
I told her she has to
Parties.
come where my travel agency is on Saturdays because there's a karate studio for kids next door to me.
Oh, very nice.
And it'll be packed
That would
in
be.
there.
Oh
so-
my
Yeah.
gosh, that is so cool.
Yes.
Okay, and Geneva, let's talk about your passion. You're a writer and a photographer.
Yes.
Okay, and when did the entrepreneurial bug bite you?
Oh, it has been with me for a very long time, quite actually. Many years ago, I owned a company, a manufacturing company in New York, although I was still working in corporate sector at the time. And fast forward to living here, I was in the corporate sector, was in graduate school, and I had always been planning events. And my eldest daughter said, you should just do that as a business and call it a day. So I started an event planning company. I was planning weddings and private parties and all of that.
Dealing with those, what did they call those?
Bridezillas?
Yes, there you go.
Well, thankfully, I never had that experience. I planned
I
weddings.
have a feeling you could handle it if
yeah,
you did, though.
I think I could.
Absolutely.
But no, everyone was always pretty professional with me.
That's good.
I'm, not a psychotherapist, and I'm thinking people pretty much picked up on I didn't want to get into the family wrangling
Yes.
thing. That
Yes.
wasn't for me. But after as I was doing event planning, I was also doing financial consulting. I learned that I was pregnant with my third child. And at the time, once I learned that, I said, that's it. Event planning is in moratorium. I don't want to travel and have my life dictated by another person.
Yeah.
And then the country crashed and did what it needed to do. And while I'm home, for the first time in my life as a stay-at-home mom, I happened to be at an event with a bunch of phenomenal women, and someone asked me to take pictures of her for her book. And I said, sure, no problem. The funny thing is my business started quickly. My photography business started by accident because she didn't even know I was a professional photographer. I had shot weddings from like 18 years old.
That's funny.
And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. We met a couple of weeks later. I did the session for her. And a few weeks after that, I get a call from Delaware Today saying, we saw this image you took of this person and because we're interviewing her and we'd like permission to use the image and we'll pay you. Oh, okay. Sure. So right then and there after the transaction, we agreed on some terms. I set my business up right then and
Wow,
there.
that's fantastic.
And lo and behold, it's just been a phenomenal thing. And I'm glad I did, because Delaware Today contacted me again some months later because they had seen another image of my husband and son, a silhouette, and they wanted to use that as well.
Wow,
so said,
fantastic.
send them a couple of lines about what that image meant. And I wasn't feeling well at the time. And I said, sure. And I wrote like 2 sentences. And like half an hour later, they said, we're giving you the whole back page of the magazine. And I said, oh, okay. And I sat up really straight and I rewrote what it was I wanted to convey.
You took it a little more seriously. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was really out of it. And I said, okay, no problem. And then after that, just wonderful things started happening. As far as writing is concerned, I've always been a writer. I've written professionally for other people in their small businesses, primarily web content creation for them. But then Ariana Huffington and I met last year, and we had a great conversation. She invited me to write for the Huffington Post.
Oh, my
I thought she was just being polite. I didn't ask her, could I? She just said, you should do it, after we had a conversation. Some months later is when I chose to follow up with her just to see where it would go. And I had given her thorough information so she could realize that I was I was being honest. So I've published for them, and the photography just has been phenomenal as well. I was recently honored to have my work featured in Ladies' Home Journal, and
so many. You're look at that. So many. She can't even remember all
the
of
Delaware
them.
Today
That is
actually
so
honored me as one of their women in business this past December.
Oh my goodness!
And what Bob doesn't know, because I came with my own little surprise as well.
All right.
I was looking forward to sharing with him. I had submitted my image to this place that everyone knows the world over. And at the point I submitted my image for this theme, about 10,500 other images were submitted. And only 500 of those were chosen as editors' favorites. I happened to look down the editor's favorites, and I see my image was chosen to be part of that by the National Geographic.
Oh my god!
That was just this Thursday. So
wonderful! I am. So, oh my goodness! Congratulations!
Thank you.
Oh, these are great ladies.
That's it. Yeah, they both are.
This is fantastic.
And this is how all our members are. They're just really good group of people.
This is very. I'm speechless, which is kind of hard to do. But if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Geneva, how would they do that?
They can either send me an email to hello@genevafonda.com. They could visit my website at www.genevafonda.com. I'm also on Facebook at Geneva Fonda Photography. And
I see the theme. The theme is Geneva Fonda.
And they're both listed on the Delaware Small Business Chamber directory.
Exactly.
Now, Bob, I'm going to be taking a break soon, but I want you to give some information about how anyone can become a member.
Well, I mean, the best thing to do is go on our website, DelawareSmallBusinessChamber.com. They can read a lot about us, the benefits, things of that nature. There is a membership application right online. One thing that we do that I want to make sure that small businesses realize, we have very low rates to begin with. And as I said earlier, once you're a member, 99% of what you do with us is included. But one thing we also do is for small businesses that are really having a problem financially, we break that payment up over 3 months. So it makes it really easy for people to be part of what we're doing.
What is the biggest thing that you think they will take away from being a member?
Well, hopefully business, but just an opportunity to learn from other business people, to create lasting and meaningful relationships with business people, with new friends, with just people that are going to look at look for ways to help them continue to grow in our area.
Do you see any trends in terms of the small businesses? We talked a little bit off air about startups, and you're wanting to get involved a little bit more with startups. Are you seeing that they're coming to you with specific needs, like these 3 needs most of the businesses have when they come to me, or these whatever?
Well, I think a lot of businesses that are getting started, number one, they don't know which type of business to become. Do they become a sole proprietor? Do they become an LLC? S Corp, C Corp? So we're working on educational programs for those things there. The other thing is what licenses they really need. I mean, people think that they just start a business and that's all they have to do. They don't, or they get a EIN number from the federal government. That's all they have to have. They don't realize that there's municipality licenses, there's state licenses, there's county licenses, all kinds of different things. So we try and inform them on those things as well.
Now, do you work with an attorney that helps with that as well, or do you
Well, we have members that are attorneys.
Yeah.
We have members that are actually incorporators.
Mm-hmm.
We have members that are accountants and payroll people. So we have a lot of members to help small businesses continue to build and actually save money on their core expenses. So.
And do you find that they kind of help the businesses free of charge more often, or are they trying to? How does that usually
It
work?
depends on what it
Is
is.
that kind of-
I mean, like anything, I think our members are looking to help other people, but then there's a time where it becomes where they're also in business.
Right,
So I think there's a two-way street a little bit. So I think there's a combination of both things that happen.
That's good. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit to our friend, Mr. Charles Vincent, owner and managing principal of Innovincent, which is a marketing firm. He was this week's 2 weeks ago, was it? How long ago was that anyway, Charlie? A couple weeks ago. He was a presenter at 1 Million Cups, and we'll be talking a little bit about what that is. We're going to keep Bob on, and we're going to do some musical chairs right now and kind of switch things out. But when we come back, you'll be very excited to hear some of the things that Charlie has to share with the group as well. Thank you very much, and we'll be back.
You can't. Do those magic words motivate you? Has anyone ever told you that you can't? You can't be an entrepreneur. You can't be a business owner. You don't have what it takes. How many successful businesses started without incorporating? I'm John Williams, the president of Inc. Now. For 39 years, Inc. Now has been incorporating first-time entrepreneurs just like you. Over 15,000 companies, from mom and pop businesses to worldwide enterprises. IncNow.com, based in Delaware, can have you incorporated in only a few minutes for $298. Inc. Now makes starting your LLC easy. Learn more about what Inc. Now can do for you. On the web, visit incnow.com. That's incnow.com. What do you have to lose? If you think you can't be an entrepreneur, then don't. I'm here to tell you, you can. Plant a seed. Inc. Now. Dreamers wanted.
Welcome to Wilmington, Delaware. At Preservation Initiatives, we bring beautiful lofts to you. The recently renovated lofts at 400 Market Street are a must-see. A part of registered National Historic District. Featuring spacious floor plans, custom glass windows, solid surface countertops, stainless steel appliances, custom lighting, wood flooring, large closets, pocket doors, sunny interiors, high ceilings plus beautifully detailed trim molding. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Market Street. Just a short walk from the Wilmington riverfront, featuring family-friendly places to enjoy, with plenty of restaurants, entertainment, and other small-town conveniences. Wilmington, Delaware. In the middle of it all. Reserve today. Preservation Initiatives. Urban revitalization through historic preservation.
Preservation Initiatives is a wonderful, wonderful gem that we have here in the city of Wilmington. Don McGinley, its founder, has been developing historic properties since 1979. He's had properties in Boston, Miami, Philly, and now Wilmington. If you want to contact Preservation Initiatives in reference to any of the residential or commercial properties, please call them at 302-543-7565. That's 302-543-7565.
You're listening to WFAI 1510 AM. Welcome back to this week's edition of Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified. If you're just joining us, get your pen and paper ready for more free advice from Carolyn Lighty and her guests.
And again, welcome back. We're joined now with Charles Vincent of Innovincent, and also we still have on the mic with us right now Bob Older, president of the Delaware Small Business Chamber. Well, good afternoon, Charlie.
Hi, good afternoon, Carolyn. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad you could be here. So what did you think about the conversation I just had with all those wonderful ladies?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I always enjoy hearing about new businesses starting up and other entrepreneur groups that are in town, networking types. Because as a startup, it's certainly, who's kind of switched into this area, it's a very different networking group to sort of break into.
And where were you before? You just
for the last 6 years, I've been a corporate litigator here in Wilmington, so it's a little different from high stakes litigation. Just now switched to marketing and sort of fundraising for.
What kinds of things
businesses.
did you do as a corporate litigator?
Early in my career, I did a lot of trade secret and non-compete work,
Mm-hmm.
and then a lot of corporate governance issues, both on the plaintiff and defense side.
Okay, cool. So what made you go into the marketing side of things?
My undergrad was in marketing and business.
Okay.
I've always had that sort of entrepreneurial spirit. After I graduated college, I started my own sports photography company.
Oh, another photographer in the house.
Mm-hmm. And then ultimately selling that and then deciding to go to law school. But even as a lawyer, I was still able to stay involved with the legal charities and help them with some of their fundraising and marketing events. And sort of I enjoyed doing that and decided to take a go of it.
So your business provides marketing services?
Yes. So I've helped primarily more on the strategic planning side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll work with, and I'll talk about my definition of small businesses in a minute, but for nonprofits and small businesses, sort of helping them identify what their market is, whether it's, are they in the right market, or are they trying to grow their market, how are they growing it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll help them with their marketing in that sense. I'll work with other groups who are, might be more attuned in the advertising space or PR space, or, because I can't obviously do everything myself. So
right.
I have a lot of the people I work with as well. And then, so I'll help with them on the marketing side. And on the event planning and fundraising side, it sort of depends on what are they trying to do, raise awareness or raise money. And depending on the answer to that question, different events may be better for the group, and
Mm-hmm.
every event's a little different.
So would you say that you have more nonprofits than for-profit?
I'd say right now it's primarily nonprofits. I have a couple of startups I'm working with on various projects. So I'd say probably 75-25 nonprofits to small business.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Bob in terms of trending. What are people in need of most when they come to you or when you get involved with your business?
That's a good question. I think the way at least I've been working with nonprofits so far is it really depends on where they are on their sort of business cycle. If they're in the startup phase as opposed to being in more mature phase or more established phase. The startups are more really looking to sort of get established, get people to, be aware of what they're doing, come to their events. And so their strategies are more focused on sort of promotional type events, networking, dinners, wine tastings, 5K races. And then once they're, have been around for a longer amount of time and have sort of a sustained donor base or following, then they're looking for more, how do we get more money, sustained money, through like a planned giving strategy or bigger events.
Yeah.
And then the more senior nonprofits or the ones that have been more established are looking more for, maybe a capital campaign strategy or sort of retooling an event that they've been doing maybe for like 15 years and it's sort of started to level off or gotten lower in participation.
It's interesting when I've worked with nonprofits and some of the small businesses, and certainly with startups, a lot of times they'll have a wonderful product or idea, but their budget for marketing is like 1%, 0.1% of what they've considered. Even though you have a business plan and all of that, and you may put X dollars, for some reason those dollars really never get spent in the area of marketing. Are you finding that budget and having the amount of money, the resources, financial resources?
Right. Well, certainly the smaller startups are more focused on just raising initial money. They don't have anybody full time on staff, and even some of the bigger nonprofits don't have a full time fundraiser or marketer on staff. And that's where I think, somebody like me can come in and help at least organize their volunteers. And I am trying to work out an arrangement where I'm just working on a sort of a flat fee structure or just an hourly rate. That way I'm working within their budget and not trying to take money out of their pocket.
Bob, are there nonprofits that are members of
Yes, we do have some. And we have a special nonprofit rate for that. So, because they are small businesses in a lot of ways, and they have some of the same problems and same things that are going on with them as a regular small business does. So yes, the SBA is a member of ours. Goodwill is a member. There's just a couple right off the top of my head.
So when it comes to developing a strategy, Charlie, you said that you go in and you try to find out. Give me an example of where you start. I'm a business, and you're now coming in to find out what my needs are. How do you go about that?
Right. So initially, I'll sit down and talk with them, sort of more high-level general, and just hear what they've been doing, sort of what their goals are, and sort of the background of what they've been doing to sort of accomplish those goals. And then, depending on how that conversation goes, they're usually like, well, what can you do for us? And I'll, for a smaller nonprofit, like, for example, I'll use a startup. So I was talking to one not too long ago, and they're sort of just looking to sort of build their brand and start raising money. So we were talking about maybe having either a 5K or a golf tournament, because they have enough of a volunteer base already that they can sort of, it wouldn't be me doing it, it'd be sort of working with their volunteer and the core committee of volunteers putting on something. And then, we start getting into more specifics about, well, what's the timeline to put on an event like this? What are the resources we would need to give? How many volunteers would we need, and then sort of go from there. And then once they decide to do one of those events, then we would just negotiate a contract and just get everything in writing, and then just start working on it.
So would you say that the event is the biggest thing that you do as it relates to building brand awareness or brand visibility, is usually through an event?
Through an event. At this stage, at least with the smaller nonprofits, they're looking more for events. Others, the more mid-tier nonprofits, and I'm using small, mid-tier, and seasoned more, not in terms of, how big sort of in terms of how big they are, but also in sort of how long they've been established. A lot is more just in how you're better able to engage your donor base. A lot of times, you have an event and you don't want to sort of wear your donors out and have them always give money.
Yeah.
So sometimes you want to have an event that's more just an informational or an educational thing that may just be something about, financial planning, and then you can sort of pair up, financial planners or other, people in that industry who can sort of educate their donor base about something that may be useful to them, and they may not have, it may be related to the charity, but not sort of a direct ask.
I gotcha. And so what kind of response do you get from the media in this area? Since I'm coming back to this area, do you get a lot of support? Both of you can answer that question in terms of the media supporting your events.
I think a lot, at least in the experience in events I've helped put on both as an attorney and sort of certainly in the planning stages now with other events. A lot is just reaching out, making contacts with the right people in the media, and whether you're on page 10 of the lifestyle section or the front page, that takes time, and you have to build these networks. And I think that is a lot a matter of just time and relationships.
Yeah, it's just that this is such a small market, and I don't see as much, and maybe it's just because I'm used to something different.
Right, and and with us, it depends on what we're looking for from the media, because we do have some media that will do a lot. We're doing an event March 29th. It's a poker run, and we can't get the media to do anything on that. But then we do an event in October. It's a consumer expo for bringing consumers and small businesses together, and we do get a little bit of publicity for that. So it really depends on what we're looking for, what they perceive as newsworthy and non-newsworthy.
If you were to give advice, I'm back to you again. I keep bouncing. It's like a ping pong ball here. So, Charlie, what do you find yourself in terms of the advice that you give? What is the biggest advice that you give to a small business owner? Let's go to the business side for a second.
I think this is more general. It's just, I think they really need to understand who their customer is and what they're trying to sell to the customer. If they don't understand their customer, they might spend a lot of money and time on something that's altogether irrelevant to what they're trying to do.
Do you ever find, and I've had this, that's what I'm going to say, I'm not putting you on the spot, hopefully, but I've run into customers who will say, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And what do you do in that instance? Even if you know that it's not what in their best
well, that's where I think it helps being an attorney, because a lot of it being an attorney is listening to, you have a client who says, well, I want, this pound of flesh, or I need to resolve this issue very quickly. So a lot is just listening to what they have to say, let them hear what, let them speak.
Yeah.
And then sort of massage them into a direction that you think is.
Have you ever had to just go their way? because they were the client, so to speak?
Yeah, well, in the end, it's the client making the decision, right or wrong. It's you're working for the client, and then you're trying to, obviously on the legal side, it's different than on the marketing side in a lot of respects. But the client is ultimately their decision, and as whether you're a legal advisor or a professional advisor, you're trying to work with them to accomplish whatever their goal happens to be.
Bob, you have such a great personality. How do you deal with difficult people like that who kind of want it their way or
Well,
no way?
it's funny because in my other business, as I said, I'm a travel agency.
That's right.
And with Creative Travel, we get that all the time. I mean, people come in and they say, I want to do this. And it's funny, a lot of times they walk out doing something completely different because of the way I talk to them. But
you don't beat them or anything.
No. You know what? I'm a very upfront, and these ladies will tell you, I'm very direct, I'm very upfront, I'm very honest about what I do. And it's the same whether it's the chamber or my travel business, and I just believe in doing it that way. And hopefully from now on, Charlie's first thing we'll say is to tell him to join the Delaware Small Business Chamber.
Absolutely.
But I mean, difficult people, it really depends on what they are. And there's sometimes, and I'm a strong believer of this, that sometimes it's just better to say no to somebody and not do business with them than to have them on.
And that's kind of been my way. It's funny, many years ago, more years than I'm going to tell you at this point. I had a retired woman who came to work for me as my assistant, and she and her husband had a carpet business for 1 million years in North Jersey. Just made plenty of money, and she just wanted something to do. Oh, I'll get a part-time job, whatever. But she was like the mother of everybody in the office, right? So she always told everybody what to do. But she would say to me, Carolyn, you should take every bit of business that comes your way. I have never seen anyone and she would say, so arrogant that you would turn business away. And I'd say, it's not about that, but I can tell pretty quickly whether you're going to be someone who's going to follow a successful, best practices, path of success, all of that. I'm not going to take on something that I know is going to fail, because then that's going to hurt me even more later.
Absolutely.
So I would personally rather just walk away. If that's the way you want to do it, if this is, I'm just not the person that you can do.
And I just had to
with.
do that to somebody the other day and say, look, that's really what you want to do. You're feel free to go do that. And, we get that all the time. And in our business, we get all the time somebody says, well, somebody else is going to give it to me. Well, go. Okay. Feel free to go do that.
And it's interesting because some of those people come back later, though.
Absolutely.
After they've thought about it. Well, she would actually say no.
Right.
And I want to give her money. Yeah, well, it's not just about the money. It's about whether or not I can really help you.
It's integrity.
Yeah, there you go. Integrity.
Right. It's really what it boils down to.
I wanted to give people information about how they can get in touch with you, Charlie.
Right. Well, you can email me at charlie@innovincent.com.
You're going to have to...
I'll spell it out. Charlie, CHARLIE, at Innovincent, INNOVINCENT. I'm also I have a website, innovincent.com. I'm on Twitter, Innovincent. I'm on Pinterest under Innovincent. I'm on LinkedIn under Charlie Vincent and Innovincent.
Okay.
Facebook, Innovincent Delaware. Because it turns out there's actually an Innovincent or an Innovincent.
Is there really?
Yeah. So.
Now, let me ask this question. Why Innovincent?
It was a play on innovation and my last name being Vincent.
Yeah. I just wanted to make that clear for everyone. How important is having a LinkedIn business page or a Facebook business page and all of that?
I think certainly Facebook and LinkedIn sort of have two different constituencies, depending on sort of what your target market is. Right. Most people should have both. Certainly on the business side, it's sort of Facebook for business professionals. LinkedIn's growing in its terms of its business strategy. It's still kind of evolving. Same with Facebook. But in the end, it's all about sort of how you're engaging your customer base.
Right.
And sort of nowadays, you really have to get out there a lot of different ways because there's at least 5 major social networks and probably 50 smaller ones. So.
Yeah. Well, and engagement. We were talking about customer experiences and engagement before we went on the air also earlier. And social media has given us that ability to be, instantaneously able to deal with a problem. A lot of people say, oh, reviews, I don't really do anything with that because I may get a bad review. Well, but that's also an opportunity for you to correct something.
Absolutely.
and to show other people that you're willing to go the extra mile from a customer service standpoint.
One thing I want to piggyback off what Charlie just said, though, is that to have a Facebook page is a necessity, but to keep it going is more important than anything.
Yeah.
So I go to people's pages and they haven't had a business page and they haven't had posts in a year.
Yeah.
I don't want to do business with somebody like that,
Right,
honestly.
Right. Well, yeah, then it just shows that you're, and it's really probably because they're trying to do it all themselves.
Right.
But, and that's where they have to be willing to hire someone outside, if they, to help them with those types of things. Well, we're going to be coming up shortly on the end of the show, but what I want to do is give everybody an opportunity again to kind of promote themselves. So, Deirdre, if you could jump up to the mic and tell us again, you're launching, it's not going to be tomorrow because it's going to be cold, but then when are you launching?
Right. We'll probably be launching around the end of March.
Okay.
When it gets a little bit...
When it thaws.
When it falls, yes. And then it's my birthday, so we'll have a little celebration and some fun.
That's great. And so you're not going to take Bob's idea of coloring the ice, the snow outside your home? You're not going to do that?
Well, we might pull a few flavor bottles out and do that. I'm sure my kids would enjoy that.
And are you giving free Kona ice out for a day or anything? No.
We will. We will definitely be going through different businesses and daycares and some schools. But we'll post that on our Facebook page when we do that.
Good. And give your telephone number again.
302-722-7280.
Okay. And Geneva, could you jump up to the mic and also give us some contact information again about you?
Okay. The contact info is hello@genevafonda.com. My website is genevafonda.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, but I need to be Geneva Fonda on LinkedIn. And my Facebook page is Geneva Fonda Photography.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Bob, you one more time.
Well, obviously the chamber is at Delaware Small Business Chamber.com. We are also on Facebook, Delaware Small Business Chamber. And of course, Creative Travel is my other business, and creativetravelinc.com.
We're going to have to talk about your travel business
Absolutely.
too. Well, I'm Carolyn Lighty. We're at the end of the show. You can reach me by going to my website, which is Evolve Brand Marketing. That's EVOLVE brandmarketing.com. Or you can go to the radio station website, which is evolutionstrategiesradio.com, where you can listen to previous shows and also get in touch with me there. In parting, we just wish you a wonderful Sunday. Hopefully you got out there and got whatever clothing and food and anything else that you need before the blizzard hits. Again, I can't believe that it's snowing so much here. And we'll definitely see you